I still remember the first time I ever smoked. It was when I was around 16 years old. I had just gotten out of a relationship, and my one buddy kind of came to me and was like, "Hey, I've got this stuff you should try. I think it'll really help you out." And I remember smoking that day. It was like out of a bong or something, and I just remember how everything like felt relieving, right? I felt like I was just like all my struggles were gone, and I felt like it was the greatest feeling ever. And because of that, I wanted to replicate that feeling again and again and again. Because at this time in my life, I didn't like who I was. I didn't have any type of confidence. I didn't feel like I was the person that I was meant to be in a sense. So because of that, I used it as an escape. I used it to fill the void that was left in my life from all the various struggles that I had dealt with. And as I started to smoke more and more, it became a once a week thing, and then an everyday thing, and then an all day thing. And I was just smoking 24/7 just because I didn't like who I was, and I didn't like my true identity, and I couldn't admit that. And I just remember whenever I was going through this and I was smoking all the time, I didn't have any productivity. I couldn't focus on tasks for long at a time. I would try to do one thing, and then I would just lose focus, and I'd get back on my phone and just like aimlessly scroll. And whenever I'd wake up, I'd feel so groggy. I would just wake up, like sit in bed for an hour trying to get out of bed, or just scroll on my phone, hit the snooze, and I would just stay in my bed for hours and hours and hours because I was so tired and so groggy because I had smoked all night the night before. I remember I didn't want to go to the gym unless I was smoking. I remembered at night I would try to go to bed without hitting my cart, and I genuinely could not even fall asleep without just hitting the cart, without smoking. I would lay there restlessly until I hit the cart, until I was able to fall asleep. And this led me down the rabbit hole of having such a great dependence on weed that it was controlling my entire life. It was controlling my every action. I didn't want to eat. I wasn't hungry unless I was smoking. I was tired 24/7, and I would only feel like myself after I was smoking. I transformed myself so that my identity consisted of me whenever I was high. I didn't want to be the person that I was when I was sober because I didn't like the person that I was when I was sober. I had no reason to. I wasn't consistent in the gym. I didn't have a good diet. I didn't look good. I didn't feel good. I had no confidence. So why would I want to be that person? And this went on for a couple years. On and off, I was just smoking. On, I would go off. I would try to quit, or I would completely quit, and then I would start smoking again, get reintroduced to it. And you might be in a similar situation where you're smoking every once in a while, you try to stop, and then you come back to it, you're very consistent with it, on, off, and I never saw it as a problem, right? I didn't see it as a problem solely because I didn't like who I was when I was sober, and I liked who I was when I was high, so I might as well just keep smoking. And even though I started to get consistent in the gym, I started to look better, it didn't matter because my identity revolved around me smoking weed. And that was who I was as a person. And I remember this had gone on for such an allotted period of time until last year in college, right? I remember I was smoking a good bit. I was super consistently high. And I remember this one specific night so vividly. And this is the night that I quit smoking weed forever. And I remember I was out with my friends. I was absolutely gone. I was extremely high. And I received a text message from my sister. And my sister had frantically been calling me. She'd called me a few times. She had texted me a couple times. And it turned out that my dad had fell and had a seizure. And he was being rushed to the hospital. And had he have died that night, I would have been completely fried off my ass for the last night of my father's life. And that's what really flipped the switch in me, because I realized that I could have completely never like experienced that moment. I would have never even been present for my own father's death had I been high during that moment. And I realized that by me smoking and putting this mask on all day, I was literally just taking myself out of my own life. I wasn't experiencing my life because I wasn't present in all of these things. I wasn't present in so many experiences. I would smoke at weddings. I would smoke before funerals. I would smoke before school. I would smoke before social events. All of these things. And I didn't remember any of them. And I wasn't present during any of them. I wasn't myself, and I was losing out on these experiences. And that experience that really set me over the edge was almost, well, feeling like I was going to lose my father while I was fried, because I didn't even process it. It felt like nothing had happened. I didn't know what to even feel or think because I was so high. It was just like, it felt like an illusion. And I would have woken up the next day sober and just been in a complete loss for words because I couldn't have even processed and experienced what had happened that last night. So that next day, I completely quit. I threw everything out. I knew that I was done for good. And I didn't really know what it would do for me, but I knew that it would make me present again. I knew that it would make me live my life again. And as I stopped smoking, yes, it was hard for a couple days, but I started to realize that life looked a whole lot brighter. Life didn't seem as gloomy and dark as it had before. I realized that I could now do work, or I could now focus on things and not just scroll on my phone in between. I started to wake up earlier and earlier, and it got to the point where I am now, where I wake up at 4:44 every single solitary day. And the reason for that is because I have a 444 tattoo on me, and that essentially means that you're on the right path in life, right? And I truly realize now that I am on the right path in life. And so my routine replicates that. My lifestyle replicates that I am on the right path, even though I might not have always been on this path. And as this progressed, my lifestyle only elevated. I was able to go to the gym and feel amazing. I was able to go out and be present and have conversations with people and truly just feel like I was 100% there whenever I was talking to people. The good things that happened in my life, the bad things that happened in my life, I was able to experience them fully, and I was able to be present in that situation because I was no longer high during those situations. And as this progressed, every other area of my life elevated, right? I began to feel better mentally. I began to look better physically because I was more consistent in the gym. I was able to follow a better diet because I wasn't like only eating off the munchies, and I wasn't just like not hungry whenever I wasn't high. And every other area of my life elevated and turned me into the man I am today. The man I am who runs a successful business, the man I am who transforms lives for a living, quite literally, and the man who goes to the gym every single morning at 4:44 a.m. because he can, because he has the ability to, and because he feels good enough to. So for you watching this, you've probably been smoking just like how I was for multiple years. You've probably been so addicted to it. Even though you don't want to admit it, it's been a vice in your life, and it's something that has been holding you back for years and years and years. I need you to understand, one, that the only reason I'm telling you this, the only reason I'm making this video is because I want you to succeed and because you deserve to succeed. You deserve to live a life that you're present in. And right now, you're not living a life that you're present in. You're living a life where you've experienced nothing truly. You do not fully experience and you're not fully present in any area of life. What's it going to be like in 10 years? Could you imagine yourself in 10 years still smoking every single day with nothing to look forward to, with using it as a vice to get out of your life? You deserve to experience your fucking life. So why don't you go experience it? And why don't you go be present in that life as opposed to resorting to a plant to make you feel like the person you want to feel like? Because I promise you, once you start taking the actions and once you start living the life that the person you want to be wants to live, you will become that person. And I thought that weed was the only escape. I thought that taking drugs was the only escape to get out of the life that I was in. But I realized all I had to do was start living like the person that I wanted to be. And sure enough, I became that fucking person. So to you watching this, you need to become the person that you want to be. And the way that you're going to do that isn't by falling back into drugs, isn't by smoking every single day. It's by looking back and looking down at your habits and thinking, what would the person I want to be do? What would the person that I would love to be, what would he be doing right now? Would he be skipping the gym? Would he be smoking every night? Would he be sleeping in? Would he be snoozing his alarm? Of course he wouldn't, right? And the reason that you're so addicted to drugs, the reason that you're so addicted to all of these vices is because you're using them to escape the fact that you are not that person. So I promise you, if you want to actually become that person, you can't keep putting a mask on. You can't keep waiting, and you can't keep telling yourself that this is your escape from reality and this is your vice. You can't keep using it as a vice, because I promise you, you're never going to escape if you don't come to the realization and don't come to the understanding that it is holding you back from being the person you want to become. You can't fall back into this. You see, you're putting a mask on and you're hiding your true identity just so you can feel like the person you want to be. But I promise you, you will feel like that person even more so if you were able to take the actions of that person every day. So sit back and really think about who you want to be and what that person will be doing, because I promise you, that person would not be smoking fucking weed every single day. That person would not be sleeping in every single day. That person would not be eating like shit every single day. Because if they were, then you're already the person you want to be, right? You don't even have to fucking change. You're all good. Everything's fine. But I know that's just not how it is. I know you're meant for so much more. So why don't you go ahead and fucking prove it? If you're truly meant for more, you're truly not meant to be the person that you are right now, then go fucking prove it and take the actions of the person that you actually want to be. Because if you don't take those actions and you keep falling back into your vices and putting a mask on, trying to pretend that you're somebody that you're not, I promise you, you'll never see the success you want to see.